Welcome to Resource Management Committee meeting of March 5th. Roll call.
Mr. Curran.
Here.
Mrs. Hanchett.
Here.
Mr. Barnes.
Present.
Mr. Demick.
Here.
Mr. Fanton. Mrs. Ricketts Swales.
Here.
5 present, 1 absent.
Okay, that's good. Approval of minutes of February 5th, 2025. Ask for a motion.
Ricketts Swales will move that.
Second.
Demick will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Okay. We do have, our first guest is Jerry Snyder, owner of a small farm in Alfred. One of the only, isn't the only dairy farm in Alfred?
Only one left.
Yeah.
Card that I filled out.
Push the red button.
Okay.
There you go.
I sent some materials to the board. Anybody get a chance to read them? Okay. Any questions?
I have something to say. Thank you for coming. I remember, has it been a couple years ago you came in and talked about the raw milk?
I've been talking for a lot
I
of
know,
years about
but in here.
Yeah.
So since that time, doesn't seem to be much progress that is on that situation, or?
I've been trying for 15 years. I met with Commissioner Ball,
Okay, good.
Deputy Commissioner Trodden, Casey McHugh, the Milk Control Director, Will Francis before him. He's now in D.C. This is a stone wall that doesn't want to move.
Yeah.
But here's the situation. Brooke gave me the NACO
Right.
paperwork from his trip.
Yep.
Everybody recognizes we need local food. And the only source of revenue that will be viable for a small family farm is direct marketing. The other route, the commodity route, you get 8 cents for every dollar the consumer spends. When you direct market, you get the dollar, and then you spend a lot on hired help, infrastructure, stores, people to work in the stores. Yesterday, I wish I had a movie of it. I'd just show it to you for a couple minutes. But we were doing firewood. We had 2 students doing firewood with a processor. They did probably 50, 60 face cord of firewood yesterday. We had the softball team from the university washing sap buckets because we're getting ready to make syrup. We had people in the store, employees from the college, students. Talk about rural development and food security. I mean, all I'm asking is for 4 words: on-farm sales only. New York State has a raw milk program that's been successful for over 40 years. Farm Bureau, I've got 7 policies. I just joined Farm Bureau. They support the raw milk program. They do not support third-party sales. What's a third-party sale? It's a retail store like a grocery store. And the reason for that is this is the only market that the farmer has. This is his last stand to stay in business, is if he controls the price of that milk. And I don't want the supermarkets to be in that business because we'll be back to 8 cents instead of the dollar. Any other questions?
There's a lot of questions to be had from that, but, what I feel we need to have some start on is just more pressure from anybody.
Here's what I got up my sleeve. I started a petition about 1.5 years ago, and I've got copies of it here. I gave it out to the public. I gave it out to the raw milk farmers in the state. I've met with all the raw milk farmers in the state, educating them. There's a lot of microbiology that they don't know, and they get a lot of fines, and they end up paying the fines out of fear, and they fined me $600. I wrote a one-page response with the science, and they never touched me after that. They don't even want to meet with me. They want to know the material that I'm going to bring to the meeting before they will set up a meeting, because they want to prepare. That should tell you something. Now I got off on a rabbit trail. What was that question?
Well, how do we get this out to
Okay.
to put pressure on the bureaucrats?
I have a food sovereignty ordinance that I'm rewriting for New York State. It's from Maine. This is one avenue. Basically, a food sovereignty ordinance is anybody that comes and buys face-to-face at a farmer's market, at a farm, wherever, if you're buying it face-to-face, you don't need any regulations. Now, this is a novel idea. You know where it came from? Harry Lumen Russell was the dean of the Ag School in Madison, Wisconsin in 1900. He studied microbiology from Louis Pasteur in Paris and Robert Koch. And I've got his book out in the car that he published. It was the microbiology manual for the Ag School in Madison, Wisconsin. And in there it says raw milk. Now, just for your information, we had a milk crisis in the 1800s. We had no electricity. Farmers were milking by hand into an open bucket. We had tuberculosis. We had typhoid fever. And that milk was a vehicle that spread the disease. It was a real problem. That has gone. But even then, there was two solutions. Strauss owned a New York City store, Macy's, and he had money and he got into the pasteurization business to save babies. I'm on a cemetery board. A lot of babies died before they were 2 years old back in the 1800s because it was filthy, the milk was contaminated, and they died. And so pasteurization was an appropriate step. We had 5 million farms in 1880. We were a rural society. Everybody had farms. The other solution was Dr. Henry Coit. He was a medical doctor, and he wanted pure raw milk for the hospitals to feed the infants whose mothers couldn't nurse them. And so he came up with the Medical Milk Commission. I have an inspection report in my farm, and he's the one that organized that. And he made sure that every farmer had a physical. He had the veterinarian check the cows so there was no tuberculosis. So he's the one. Now, you couldn't do that if you were a government agency for 5 million farms. It's just too much work. But he did that so he would have, and it was a higher priced milk, and he used it for the hospital for people that were sick. So the two solutions were heat the milk and kill the bad stuff in the milk, or designate how to make clean, healthy milk. And we got the same situation today, except we don't have those diseases. We have stainless steel. We have electricity. We have refrigeration. I bottled milk just before I came here. That milk came out of the cow this morning, and it will be in the consumer's fridge for supper. Fresh today. Do you understand what I just said? Mm-hmm. When I was shipping milk, it would be in my bulk tank for 2 days. It would go on a tractor trailer. It would sit overnight. It would go to Winston, Virginia to be processed. And then it would go to a warehouse. And then it would go to a retail store. It would be 10, 12 days old. And they could put it 3 days in that silo at the processing plant before they process it. So my milk is all consumed before theirs is even in the store. But anyway, this situation we have today is ultra-processed food and 4 food companies that control the beef industry, the dairy industry, the chicken, the pork. What is the price of eggs today? My goodness. This is a created catastrophe. They're killing chickens. Now, some of those chickens might die, and the ones that live will be immune. Oh my gosh. You mean that would be the easy way out? Just let it run its course and keep the healthy ones? That's why I'm here today. Because I have an immune system. So we could change. So the ultra-processed food that we're eating, I was just talking with a visitor yesterday. I'm taking care of my 88-year-old mother-in-law, and she's got an autistic child. Can't function. Can't even eat foods. Can't function in school. All this is because of what we're putting in our bodies. It's ultra-processed. I've got the books if you want to read them. Van Tulleken is a medical doctor, a virologist from London College in the UK. And he talks to the people in the food system. They lace the food with these chemicals that shut down that you're full, but first they take all the nutrition out of the food. And I could go on here for years, but we have to do something to give people the freedom to choose healthy food. And the farmers the ability to supply it. Amos Miller is in court right now, down in Pennsylvania. The FDA is after him, trying to put him out of business. And he's doing just what I'm doing. He's selling real food, just the way everybody did back in the day, directly to the people. It's not even going in the stores, and they still can't put up with it. A private membership agreement is being challenged. So we're at the precipice of we're going to go one way or the other, whether we can choose what we eat or not. But raw milk is a safe food. The average illnesses, 10 million people drink it every day. The average number of illnesses per year is between 27 and 40. No deaths. So what I have,
Yeah.
I've taken enough of your time. If I can figure out how to turn this thing on. This is what I'm asking you to do. Send this message to Albany, to the commissioner. The Allegheny County Board of Legislators requests that the New York State Department of Ag and Markets Milk Control and Dairy Services remove on-farm sales only from its rules and regulations in order to allow raw milk farmers with New York State Ag and Market issued permits to meet the growing demand for raw milk at venues which create a viable market. We believe removing on-farm sales only from the rules and regulations governing raw milk sales is consistent with the Commissioner of Agriculture's duty to aid and promote direct marketing of farm products. That's in McKinney's Law Book. And will supply consumer demand for products and practices that are healthy for the body, green for the planet, fair for the farmers and workers, and affordable to all. Empty grocery shelves during the pandemic highlighted the need for local food security through direct marketing by farmers. Farm Bureau policies support continuation of the New York State Raw Milk Program with the support of the New York State Department of Ag and Markets. Recent newspapers quoted Thomas DiNapoli, New York State's comptroller, saying, "The state could help farmers develop more direct-to-consumer markets," when commenting on the loss of 14% of New York State farms from 2012 to 2022. You know, I could put a whole thesis behind all this of information, but and another thing before I get down, the NACO report wants easier grant monies to get to these small farms. The University of Vermont, the Dairy Innovation Center, I went to Albany to a meeting with them. Laura Gunsberg is the director, and I met all of her workers. They have no way to fund anything related to raw milk. It's in the regulations from the federal government. I saw that smile, Phil. They build a firewall everywhere they can, on-farm sales only. Now, it's legal, but it's not profitable and it's not viable to keep you in business because you can't get enough customers where the farms are. Obviously, somebody knew what they were doing. Questions? I'll be quiet. Yes.
Go ahead.
You're saying that people would have to come directly to the farmer to purchase raw milk.
As the regulations say right now, I was going to Buffalo 4 years as a farmer's market in North Tonawanda. I have a permit to sell raw milk. I was selling meat, maple syrup, all kinds of products up there. It was illegal. Actually, I gave you a copy of the farmer market manager's report. It's illegal for me to go there. What is the purpose of a farmer's market if a farmer can't sell his food and he's got a permit to sell the food?
Well, continuing my question, if it's legal for me to go directly to a farmer and buy milk, why wouldn't it be legal for that farmer to deliver milk to my house?
That's a good question. I wish I could answer that. There's no reason I can think of. Actually, think about it this way. It's a 2-hour drive from North Tonawanda to my farm. If it was legal for me to take it up there and sell it, it would only have 2 hours of road time. When they have to drive down and take it back, actually it's only 2 hours of road time because they come down empty. But they've got 4 hours of drive time just to get their milk. Do you know what we're doing? We have a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture. Every city in Western New York has a coordinator, and they come and pick up their milk for their city. And it's fresh from the cow that morning.
Is that happening with you? Are they coming to get it?
We have over 400 customers. We're sold out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, why doesn't everybody do that? Phil, I don't know if you know my daughter-in-law, Christina.
I do.
She's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
She bails me out every time I try to turn this thing on. She knows what she's doing with the web.
Yeah.
And people from Connecticut follow Sunny Cove Farm. And they get out the first time and they shake my hand and I'm like, who are you? Oh yeah, we've been following you. So the internet, but you know how many farmers use the internet? I mean, I'm a farmer and I can't even turn this thing on.
Yeah. Well, how do we, I mean, how would we help get this message to the state?
Well, they don't answer me. I'm a nobody. You are a government agency. I mean, you guys are a county government. If you would send this to them and request a response. You know, put your comment in there, your question, Gary. How can that be? What's the reason for that? Why? When I put that question, they just go on about their business. They don't even respond.
Yeah.
If they would cooperate, we could save a lot of farms. You'd have a lot of new jobs, and they would be American jobs. On these small farms, they're not the other kind.
Yeah. Well, why don't we get a copy of your
Okay.
legislation there, and we'll do that.
Thank you.
I apologize for not being able to use technology. You want me to send you a copy? Or you want to pull it off there?
Why don't you send me a copy? Before you go, I'll give you my email. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do I need to
I don't think there's anything you need to
just,
do. Just go on to soil and water.
yeah, okay. Jerry, thank you very much. We're gonna push this to the state and see what they do. Yeah. By the way, you should come jack up your farm dollars by teaching.
Thinking that too.
Well, you never know. Okay, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Scott, um, get to that page.
Good afternoon. You have my report in there. A couple highlights. The permit for the Friendship School project was finally approved. We're working on getting the paperwork and estimates to the school for that. County Road 48 stabilization project, we've been meeting with landowners to get that project moving forward. At the last board meeting, we approved 3 projects using the Finger Lakes Lake Ontario watershed funding. These are for 3 beef farms, the town of Independence, West Almond, and Rushford. We're working on grant closeouts, and we submitted 9 total grants in the round 30 of the Ag 9 Point Source Program. I believe that's over 13 farms. And we're waiting for the weather to give us a break so we can start back up for construction season.
Yeah. All sounds good there. Question on Almond, the Canacadea Creek.
Yep.
That's still growing.
Yep, we have plans right now. We're waiting to see what happened with the high water this winter, doing permitting, here in the near future, to at least remove the trees out of from that bridge area. To fix that whole area is gonna take a lot of work, or at least wanna protect that gentleman's bridge, and see what we can do around that. Further upstream from there towards Alfred there's a mess back in there.
Yeah,
So we gotta do a lot of work there.
okay, that's good.
We are planning on getting the trees out of there.
Good. Any of these programs you have scheduled, going to give you any troubles or any kind of,
We aren't planning on any problems, but you never know.
yeah,
The funding is there for the projects we have planned. It's just up to the weather now, and we're ready to hit the ground running on them.
a lot of stabilization projects.
Yes.
Okay, any questions? Gary, any questions for Scott?
I've run out of questions for the time being.
All right,
All
I
right.
guess that's good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Laura.
Hi there.
Hey, sorry I missed lunch. Snack,
Oh, the kale chips?
yeah. I got
You missed out.
an appointment, popped up and had to
Yep.
be
It was good
somewhere else.
stuff. Right, Phil? You went back for seconds and thirds, didn't you? No, the kale chips at our board meeting. Oh, it was like years ago now, right? Forget so easily. Yep, surprisingly. Yeah. So you have my
Wash-
report, and the things I'm going to highlight include our rural landowners workshop, which was held the first weekend in March. I guess that was this past weekend, it was on a Saturday. It's over at the Pioneer School. It attracts people from Niagara, Erie, all over western New York. It's been going on for about 32 years. And we haven't quite broken the record of attendance, but we were pretty darn close this year. Lynn said that it went very well, that the road conditions were a little dicey, but for the most part, it was good. The second thing is our Seed to Supper program, which is brand new, which is something that people have been signing up for. I think we have 24 folks that signed up. It's going to be a 5-week program taught by Christian Acosta, our horticulture educator, and part of it's in person, part of it's online, and they get to cover everything from planting their garden, soil testing, planting and caring for their plants, as well as harvesting and then using. So it's going to be a statewide program that is just getting off the ground right now, but I think it's going to be much obviously simpler than Master Gardener training, but it gives people enough background to be able to go out and grow their own food. So
Good. Is there, on seed starting, it starts February 22nd?
This is the one that starts March 13th.
Okay.
The seed starting was just a one-time class.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
good. So that, well, how does that actually work? I mean, you get enough people to,
It's new, so I don't know. But we managed to do a lot of things online that, during COVID, that we didn't think we'd be able to do online. So sometimes, if it's a hands-on project, people either pick stuff up in advance or they mail it to each other. We did that with a lot of 4-H programs, but I don't think that this one, I think that the hands-on stuff, a lot of this is background information, things they need to know about, testing the soil and what, spacing plants and, what likes to be next to each other and things like that. So not everything's going to be something that necessitates hands-on activities.
so it'll be all through, you'll have how to plant seedlings and,
Yep.
and not right on up
When
through.
would you want to plant something by
Right.
seed, and when would you want to start a seedling 6 weeks in advance?
Right.
Like carrots and lettuce, things that have small seeds or root vegetables versus, green beans,
Yeah.
pumpkins.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. Any questions for Laura on this?
I do have a comment. I think it's very important programs for our rural areas. We have a lot of people that grow things at their home and bring them to the farmer's market. It was brought up before too, so I think it's a very good resource for us to have in Allegheny County, so thank you.
Yeah. It's cool. Any other questions? Well, I guess this is not for you, so thank you. Okay. I have a memorandum of explanation from our Allison.
Good afternoon. I'm requesting a resolution to designate Allegheny County as the lead agency responsible for the SEQR for the 8-year review of Agricultural District Number 4. This is just a standard request that we make anytime that we do an agricultural district review.
Hanchett will move.
Demick will second that.
Hey, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you. And that, any unfinished business? New business? Good of the order? I'll ask for adjourn. That's Ricketts, Swales, and Barnes. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.